What's wrong with you?
Good evening and welcome to the Hugh Hatrick Show. It's great to see you all, and a very warm welcome to my guests. It is, as ever, it is Neil from Not That Quick, Neil Chandler. It's good to see you, Neil. How are you doing?
Buongiorno. That was see, multilingual. Look how impressed Drew is.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Oh no, I'm not allowed to be exuberant.
You've been told off after last week.
Rue is on very strict behaviour tonight, I'm sure. But,
exactly that. At 55 years old, I definitely get told off by people 6 years younger than me.
Well,
I love being patronised. It's really good.
You know me. You know me.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I don't know anybody else.
So what a week we've had.
I've had a good day. We've had the police in the building. I screamed out the window for someone trying to kick the front door of the building in, and he went off. Apparently, this fellow likes to beat up women, and so I've had a pretty good day. So,
my goodness,
I don't think it's the best time to.
Well, hopefully today by the Grand Prix and by
a great day. So
we'll make the most of it. We'll make the most of it.
To Formula One, shall we?
Yes, exactly. Well, what a race we had yesterday. I have to say it was a bit of a nail biter. I did though towards the end it was looking like Hamilton would probably do it, but it was a bit touch and go for a while. But lots of overtaking, and it was. I mean, it was
excellent skill shown by Hamilton again. Finally, after a few years.
Yeah, but what's interesting, I mean, they did say the temperature was lower, and that's why they reckon the Mercedes performed a little bit better. But Hamilton did. I mean, the Mercedes seemed to be quite good all weekend, which is nice.
Got pole. Got a qualifying 1-2. So they've definitely all the issues they've had over the past few years, where they were
bouncing about.
Hear all the commentators talk they went in the wrong direction. I personally don't have a problem with them trying something different, because I and a lot of other people like me are a bit fed up with everyone in Formula One just copying everybody else and doing the same thing. And, it's really good. I think it's really good finding engineers because, slight aside, but not much of one. Formula One's meant to be the pinnacle of automotive engineering, and to find everyone just doing the same thing all the time is boring to me. But there seems to be a lot of commentators out there that talk about how when someone does something different, it's bad. Well, doing something different, and I see it as a sort of a highly paid research arena for stuff. So I think it's brilliant that the Mercedes went off on a limb with your minimal side pods and all the stuff that they're doing. They got it wrong, obviously, but it was at least they tried. At least they did something different, and they were one of the people that had a shed load of money to be able to put some effort into it. Yeah. So it didn't work, and somehow with the budget cap, they've managed to sort of start bringing it back.
Yeah.
In such a way that they didn't leave one. They didn't leave the top teams. It's never like they ended up at the back. But it's not like Williams or McLaren a few years ago. Which you and I both know that Williams and McLaren were the top teams, and then they kind of lost their way and then ended up back there. Yeah. So I'm quite impressed that they've managed to find a way to efficiently
come back.
Come back. Design their cars and research their stuff. As a research scientist in my past, it's fantastic to be able to do that, because that actually speaks of a lot of really good management. It doesn't talk about people talk about the technical staff. No. There's some really clever people in all of these teams, but if you've got some kind of egotistical something in charge it's like there was a big chunk. I live in Northwest Wales, and wages are not good, and there's not many technical jobs here. So there was a big chunk of time I worked for Tesco's, and there's your typical sort of shop manager who's thick as two short planks, doesn't know how to deal with people, but they're in charge, so just do as you're told. You can't question them, all this kind of stuff. I was really lucky. I had a couple of managers in the two departments I worked in who were really, really good. They knew how to deal with people, they knew what the job required, and they managed you brilliantly. That's how I see what Mercedes has done to get their car back up to a standard where it can challenge for wins. All right.
I mean, because Neil, what you're thinking about, because I mean, at the start of the season, Mercedes were nowhere. They were over a second behind. Mm-hmm. What do you think of the progress of Mercedes in the last wee while?
It's definitely been an improvement.
Yeah.
What they've done, who knows? I think it's going to worry a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because you're still well in time to make a big difference for the rest of the championship. If this was, I don't know, 3 or 4 races from the end, nobody would really bat an eyelid. But you're not even halfway through the season yet. And they're starting to sort of find some pace. So if I was Christian Horner, I'd be thinking, we need to do something. Because he seems to have gone a little bit backwards this weekend. I mean, he was losing. It was a bit of a funny one because the first, when he qualified, they said that he had damage underneath the car.
Yeah.
And when
are we talking Verstappen, Neil?
Yeah.
He went across the grass, didn't he? He went across.
He had a bit of a moment, and I thought, well, okay, well, if he's qualified P4 and he's got damage underneath the car, then that's a good indication that when he's got full pace, then he's just going to disappear tomorrow. Yeah. And it didn't happen. He sort of gained a position at the start, and that's about as far as he went. And then I was watching the deltas and all the split times in the first sort of 5 to 10 laps of the race, and he was just going further and further and further.
Yeah, he was pulling away, weren't they? I mean, it was only the tires.
And then
he won damage. It won damage. It was Christian Horner bullshit. That's what it was.
Yeah. Towards the end,
it is the car. I mean, it is the car.
I did wonder at the start. I have to admit, I did wonder whether because they knew that weather was coming, and it was going to come between or around Stowe Abbey sort of area.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is right near the pit entry. So I did wonder whether they were kind of holding back a little bit to try and, if it starts raining on that corner, were they thinking, well, if we're a little bit behind, we could possibly dive in and get the undercut and get some positions back that way. But it wasn't the case. They all went on to the inters. They were still going back.
Yeah.
Weirdly, though, towards the end of the race, when Hamilton and Norris were on softs, Verstappen was
Hamilton was on mediums. Hamilton wasn't on softs.
I thought he was on
softs. I thought it was on softs at the end.
He might have been, but okay, right. Let me get this right. So I was listening last night. I was listening to the race podcast. They were talking about this. The mediums were the best tire to be on.
Yeah.
So I may have got myself mixed up. That Hamilton, that's right. So Mercedes only had softs to put him on.
Yeah.
McLaren had brand new mediums put on. They were the best tire to be on, but they did the thing where they cover them. But in there, it's kind of scary when these people. You got these people that can understand or do very complex maths, but they can't understand that. You don't have to do the same thing as the other teams to cover someone.
Yeah. I think they made a bit of an error yesterday. McLaren, I think their strategy was what they should have done.
They lost the race.
They should have double stacked Norris and Piastri.
Yep.
Yeah. Because he lost so much time going out.
Yep.
I've driven on Silverstone many times, and it's a funny circuit. When it's dry, grippy as hell. When it's damp, It's horrible. When it's wet, it's okay because the water can be dispersed. When it's damp and that water sits on top of the surface, it's
so you
like
get that kind of
in
between.
It's like it's like ice.
It's like so like in Britain, if people for the world, hello. In the spring, when you get a shower after weeks and weeks of dry weather,
yeah,
it makes like an emulsion of the oil.
That's it. You can see it. You can see it on the surface. Yeah,
full rain, you get more grip from a tiny bit of water. Yeah.
And when there's more rain, you can drive on the wet line. You can drive off the racing line and find grip. When it's that kind of damp drizzle, it's horrible. It's just it's so much worse. And they sent off. They've gone right. Okay, we'll just pit Norris. We'll let Piastri go off on his mediums, and he lost one lap.
Yeah.
He lost so much time.
Yeah.
Because when he came up, both McLarens were in front. Piastri was in front. Was Norris in front? I can't remember. Either way, they pitted Norris
on the grid. Norris was ahead, and I don't think Piastri ever came past him. Verstappen was beside them both.
At one point,
there was, I think. Yeah. Oh, I've literally just closed the window. So it was Russell, Hamilton, Norris, Verstappen, and then Piastri, I think.
Yeah, and then when it started raining, both McLarens, both Mercedes at the beginning just bolted.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
which I thought was quite impressive.
Yeah, they were good.
And then when the track dampened a little bit, both McLarens seemed to just come alive. And blitzed both of the Mercedes.
They were much faster. Much faster.
But in that moment, when they pitted, what's his name? When they pitted Piastri,
they
pitted Norris. There was only a second or so gap between him and Piastri.
Yeah.
He's gone into the pits.
Something like 16 or 18 seconds in that.
Yeah, when he came out, Piastri was only about 8 seconds in front, and Norris had pitted.
Yeah.
So it completely ruined his race, and that was what ruined it for McLaren, because at the end of the race, they didn't have that backup car to try and help Norris or fend off Verstappen or even push to get to Hamilton. So their strategy just fell apart completely.
But I have to say, one of the funny things, I mean, I feel a little bit for Lewis, because he's looking at Ferrari and thinking it's really only Sainz who's doing a good performance overall. Sainz is always quite consistent. But I mean, they pulled in Leclerc way too early to go into the intermediates when clearly it wasn't available, and he just went back down the field. Then he had to come back in for dries. And then
good old Ferrari strategists again.
It was something, wasn't it? Made you wonder. And what we were still talking about last week, I think we were very accurate. I just wonder if Lewis is thinking the way we were thinking, that, oh my goodness me, I've signed for a Ferrari next year, and all of a sudden our car looks an awful lot better.
Isn't it funny how that's what we were talking about? And then the very next race, Mercedes pulls something out of the bag. We might have just screwed Lewis Hamilton over. If this happens, and what we've said is going to screw Hamilton over, best day ever.
Oh, he's made a terrible decision. That's awful.
I think he has.
Honestly, seriously, because I put this in the comment. And I've sent a screenshot of this to Hugh, a comment about... I mean, I hate YouTube comments, because Hugh and I met because of a Facebook group where I thought, I'm into Formula One, I'm going to Facebook and all this kind of stuff. Hugh was in the same Facebook group, and it was just abusive. It was terrible. I would make it... I mean, I don't hate any F1 driver. I don't hate them. It's not like
hate's a very strong word.
You get this. There's a bunch of terms in modern English now, in American and British English, where people who don't like what you're saying can come up with something like a weapon, like, you're a hater. Well, so I think someone did a bad job, so I'm a hater? Okay. So what it was, in those days, it was Vettel and all this kind of stuff. And I don't rate Vettel. at all. I mean, he was completely destroyed by Ricciardo once Ricciardo appeared. Vettel had. I don't think he's a bad driver. Don't get me wrong, but he's certainly not a 4-time world champion, record-breaking F1 driver. And he got 4 in a row, whilst acting like a 2-year-old child, and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I was getting sort of nasty comments about, oh, you're a Hamilton fanboy. Fanboy's another one. I hate that. Fanboy. What the hell is that?
Can I just point something out just very quickly?
That's like a stalker.
Yeah. So what are you going to say?
So I'm just going to say very quickly. Sorry, Roo. Flash has turned up, and I would just like to say, can you please get off the top of my leaderboards on Gran Turismo just for a minute? Let somebody else have a go. Thank you. I just wanted to get that out.
You're a hater. Because someone, that's what it is. You're a hater. But anyway, the point is that's how Hugh and I met. Is because I got a message off him going, I'm like an idiot. I tried to defend reasonably with logic and thinking and stuff like that. Work. And it was just like blah blah blah. So I just left them all. But I got this message from Hatrick, and he's like, "Well, you seem like you've got half a brain cell." I don't think it's that many, but that's how we met. So, in terms of seeing how people do stuff and logically looking into what's going on,
I've asked Flash if he is really Eddie Irvine because he sounds so much like Eddie Irvine.
Eddie Swerving Irvine, we love him.
He's saying no, I'm not so sure. But
secret Eddie Irvine
because he does these incredible times on GT7. On lots of very hard combinations.
He's on there all the time. Every single time there's a new daily race on Gran Turismo.
Actually, sorry, who are we actually talking about? What's the poor sod that you
Flash Dagger?
Flash?
Yes.
Don't be silly. Flash is just really fast. He's a lovely bloke. He's not swerving Irvine.
Majority, all the time, every single time I look at the flipping leaderboards, it's either him or Susie Q. Always
very quick.
At the top of my leaderboards all the time. And I don't know how they do it because some people have their kind of favourite tracks that they're rapid on and then other tracks where they're not quite so good. Okay. Oh, no, not Flash. He's greedy and likes to be fast on all of them.
Greedy? It's not greedy. It's another G word. It's just called good.
Let somebody else have it.
We could get Flash on the show as a guest. No, he doesn't want to reveal his face, which is fair enough.
You can do. I've seen this with the mayor a mask, or they've got like
we could put a kind of thing in front of him,
thing or something. Something else.
We'll just hear his voice.
Looks like a pixie or a wizard.
We could have him on.
He could have been a flash. Like a camera flash.
Okay. So I've noticed though, just very quickly, Hugh. When I started, this is completely off topic. I'm very sorry, but I'm going to say it anyway.
God, you told me off last week for being that way. Get on with it.
You were drunk. There's a difference.
Yes, I was. And
when I started streaming, I'm not
going to apologise. So,
oh God, he's drinking again. What's that? What is it?
This is Fruits of the Forest juice, you moron.
Yes, that's better. That's better. Anyway,
it's not better. Why is it better? What's it
because it's got no alcohol in it. That means everybody else that's in this interview gets a word in. Anyway.
Oh no!
Shut up a minute.
Okay, Neil, what were you going to say?
As I was saying, when I first started streaming, obviously I didn't have as many people as friends on the PlayStation Network, so it was easier for me to set fastest times on the leaderboard, mainly because I was the only person on the leaderboard. Then I started streaming and everybody started sending me friend requests and I just accept them. I don't know who they are. I accept anybody. Doesn't matter. Very quickly, my name started disappearing off aforementioned leaderboards.
Yeah.
Bad idea. So if anyone ever wants to start streaming, never accept any friends because you get to look very slow very quickly.
Yeah,
that's what happened to me.
This is a great lesson for you about ego.
That's the end of my story.
And allowing yourself to be shit. Okay, I accepted that I was no good ages
I'm
ago.
awful.
This is a. Hold on, you just. What the hell? What kind of politician are you? You just said you were at the top of the leaderboards, and then you went.
Because I was the only one on it. There was nobody else on the
I was the
leaderboard, so I had
fastest
to be
driver in the
P1.
world until I just got on a road. What the hell?
Exactly, that's what I mean.
But the thing is, when you can't even get into the top 10 in your own friends list, that's when it becomes.
Yeah, shut up, Hatrick. I've managed in the entire time you bought me that bloody PlayStation 4 and this rig to be not 10th, not 10th, not last once. Once.
But you managed that though, Ruben.
A few times. There's one. Okay, listen. There's one. You know, what do they call it? I don't even care this much. When you do the time trial things to get further, I can't even remember.
Yeah, to get the credits, you get the million credits. You get to
no, not that one. The one when you go in and you're proving that you can.
Rory's turned up. Is that Rory? Rory has turned in. Yes,
Rory Alexander. Hello, see Rory. He's very humble about.
I noticed it first.
Everyone, just everybody else. We
don't
all hate
dare take credit.
That.
I noticed it before anybody else did. So you can both shut up. I noticed it. Me.
Oh, you both shut
Rory
up.
was very helpful.
Shout louder, mate. Innit?
Can I please say, Rory was very helpful
from Oxford. What you need
Ruth,
to
shut
do
up. This is important.
More like this. I think I'd maybe here, but then you'd be really famous like that fella on.
Rory was very helpful for me. He was one of my first big interviews that I did on my channel.
Yes. We love the Rory.
He was very, very kind, and so
it's also one of the main reasons I started.
Rory, how do you pronounce it? Aries.
Or Aries.
I do struggle.
Too many S's.
Is it Aries?
John's here.
If I can say, Rory, if you're watching there,
John.
Congratulations on 146,000 subscribers, and I'm very sure.
Was it 24,000 when you first interviewed him?
Yeah, it may well have been.
So he's come along. He's come a long way. Almost what people like.
And also, congratulations on managing to play Gran Turismo for 28 hours straight without wanting to kill yourself. That's impressive.
And I think Rory will be
impressive.
Yes, I saw that video.
Rory will be at 200,000 by Christmas. He'll be
an impression
crazy
of Rory's face. I think that might not be right, but it looked a bit like that to me.
No, Rory. I mean, actually, Rory, we've been talking about the Formula One and also about GT7. What do you think of yesterday's race, the British Grand Prix? What would be your highlights? Did you think it was a good race? What are your thoughts?
I've got videos. You know, you said the other day, you bring your videos and you can share them and everything. Honestly, I've got things I can go through, like a scientist. You remember, like some kind of thing, like.
Do we act mildly intelligent for a minute and pretend that we know what we're
talking about? Oh my God! Don't go there.
So yes, but no, it's fantastic to have everybody watching. We do appreciate everybody putting their time aside to come in and listen to our rant.
I don't. I hate you all, numpties.
But
idiots, all of you.
Now we've got some. Oh yeah, Lewis was back on top. It was nice to see. Lando Sally got it wrong again, and Perez has to go. I mean, how can you sign a contract with Red Bull and then perform so miserably? I mean, you might think.
I don't get it. I have a theory about Perez at Red Bull. I think there has been a little bit of Perez and Horner special time, and that's the only reason he's got the contract. Because I'm sorry. I know that it's very difficult to drive an F1 car and nobody else can do blah, 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 blah. But
Rory, I love you more now. Mexico money. I just want I was doing that.
Yeah.
Apparently I've got to let him talk. Even though
I know, okay, fair enough. He's gone into, it was Cops, wasn't it, where he had a bit of an accident. So he's gone into Cops. It's a little bit wet and he's on slicks. You're one of the best, or meant to be, one of the best drivers on the planet. And you don't know when it's a little bit damp.
possibly is.
Come on.
It's not like I can do.
He needs to put his
like
finger out because he's starting to make Red Bull look very silly and himself.
His
you
finger
have to have a
is
backup driver.
cocaine.
You know, you need to have a team, especially when you're trying to win championships. You've got to have drivers that are both up there. I mean, look at McLaren. You've got Piastri and you've got Lando up there all the time. You've got there's Lewis and Russell up there. Whenever now that they've been closer, haven't they? Even the Ferraris are tending to be nearer.
Hugh, the thing about saying stuff like this is if it was, I mean, Alonso. We all know Alonso's an amazing driver. I don't know what's happened in the last few months.
I think Aston Martin is really struggling.
Well, yeah, absolutely. But for Stroll to be beating him, that's like another level, isn't it? It's like, that's really embarrassing.
But rubbing the salt into the wound.
We know that Verstappen's going to be beating Perez regardless. I mean, just...
But he's going to be the quicker driver. But
Verstappen is a prodigy. He's superb. But he's not just being beaten by Perez in the same car. He's being beaten by Hülkenberg. Hold on, let me just... Hülkenberg was
got some research.
Sixth on the grid at the start in a Haas.
That's embarrassing.
In a Haas.
Yeah. I mean,
Hülkenberg got knocked out in the first qualified.
Yeah. Hülkenberg
was ahead of him.
Yeah, Hülkenberg is...
To be fair, you've got to feel for him a little bit because there's going to be, just as a Red Bull driver, there's a lot of pressure on him because Red Bull, obviously, a Red Bull.
Yeah.
If you're not performing in the top team on the car that's meant to be the best car on the grid, the guy must feel horrendous.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I couldn't deal with that sort of pressure. I wouldn't want it. No, I'd be off. I'm just going to save myself the embarrassment, and I'm going to stay at home, and I'm going to eat custard creams, and I'm just going to play with colouring books, watch the Tweenies, and I'm not going to do an F1 race ever again. That would be me. But he's got to turn up. He's got to turn up every week and get into the car and just pray that he doesn't embarrass himself further. It's just awful.
Bottas had to do the same, and at least he ended up being beat him in qualifying several times, quite a few times actually. He was really good over one lap.
Bottas's qualifying was always very good. To be fair, he always pushed him, but then he had
one lap.
Yeah,
Rory's off. Everyone wave to Rory. Thanks, Rory.
Yes, thanks.
I'll be nice.
Is he off? Bye, Rory.
We have
fun. Tried to lose a few times, apparently, according to Neil. Something.
We have a new follower tonight, all the way from Finland. First time catching a live stream here. Oh, it's a very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, we love Finnish. We love. Hugh knows that I have commentated on a bunch of extremely fast Finnish people, and they're all, as we all know, just like some other very famous Finnish drivers, mad as a box of frogs and really like spirits. Yeah. So, welcome. How do you say T3M3 chicken? You know as a fact that is probably going to be really good, sounds really good if you say it properly as a Finnish person. It's going to be something like, I'm really cool, like that. I'm really cool, and I go into a shark sauna.
That's a lot easier.
Jump into a lake. One of my favourite interviews is when, he's not very famous, this guy. I don't think either of you will have heard of Ari Vatanen. I don't think you would have heard of him.
Yes.
Oh, Ari Vatanen was
after the massive crash that he had in the Peugeot 205 T16.
Yeah.
He obviously it was a really big crash and it killed him. But he came back for the Thousand Lakes Rally, okay, which was in Sweden, yes.
Yeah.
And one of the best things you know, so he goes, well, because he was doing really well. It was in the Cosy, 4-wheel drive Cosy Sapphire, and he was like, well, as long as I'm ahead of all the Swedes, I don't care.
Your Finnish impressions are
so don't like Swedes. It was just fantastic. As long as I'm being tall in the Swedes, I don't care. We love Harry Barton. He's what a guy.
I like Oliver Solberg. Now he turns up. I follow him on YouTube.
Which Solberg, Pettit or his brother?
I think there's a few of them. And he turned up just to do some kind of road rally, and he was just going to come and watch. I think he had family involved, and then he ended up being asked if he wanted to race, but he didn't bring his suit or his helmet, so he had to borrow it from other people who were there. And then he ended up, I think, being second in one of this. I think it was like a hill climb or some kind of thing.
Have you seen Finland? You can't drive anywhere on a normal road. I mean, you do realise that everybody in Finland is probably faster than everybody else in the world on a dirt track or snow.
Yeah.
Or near midges.
Well, remember they did.
So you got the ones that give you malaria in Africa. The midges are kind of like that big.
Yeah.
I used to live near the River Rhine in Ludwigshafen, which is next door to Mannheim, where the car was invented, or some of the cars were invented. Daimler, he was from Mannheim, and they had them this one. They were called Schnarken. Even the name sounds like it bites your leg off. Well, in Finland, they are the size of an eagle. These are the midges. They're the size of an eagle, and they bite your head off. So you got to drive very fast to get away from them. It's just how it works.
Maybe that's is that how they learn then?
What?
Is that how they learn? Do they have to drive fast to get away from midges?
Well, you're a kid. Dad says, go outside to play. Oh, look, see, he knows. Yeah. Go outside to play, and then they go, but Dad, this is not.
That sounded Italian.
Very good. No, it doesn't. I can do it in Italian. You got to do it like it is. That's a Napoli accent. I can do that one. No. The Finnish is like, but Dad, there's like a massive monster coming at me. He goes, get in the car. Here's the keys. Drive away from them. That's how it works. Yes, you're right. Correct. Carry on.
Well, remember, it was Mika Hakkinen taught James May. He took him to Finland and they drove.
I saw that. Yeah,
they used to rally. They used to teach the kids when they're like 13 how to drive, how to to opposite lock. Which is what we should do. Dublin Dave has joined us.
My favourite Americans are the ones that live out in the sticks. They don't expect to have a double fratty, laffy, tatty, kappa,
Starbucks,
Chino, vegan. They're the ones that have to shoot things and stuff. And so I was watching a video the other day on something crap on the internet, and she's 30. No, I don't think she was even 30. I think she's like 9, and she's driving this car, and the dad's like ex-military, and he goes, "Daughter's learnt to drive. Took her 3 days."
And
I'm like,
you do it.
That's how Finland works. That's why all these places work. I'm speaking English sometimes like proper rally English. You guys have been hearing a lot of rally. And I'm very old. So I'm 28 now. Still. And I've been watching rallying for at least 3 years.
Yeah, my best memories of rallying was watching the Lombard RAC, and we were at the Kielder Park. It was 1990, I think it was. And I'm sure I suddenly saw Colin McRae, and I wonder what year we went, because we saw Colin McRae and we also saw Richard Burns as well.
They waved into a tree.
They waved
to us. Crash into a tree. It wasn't Colin McRae.
Sorry, we didn't crash.
If it didn't crash into a tree, it wasn't Colin McRae. Sorry,
but they were racing past quite quickly. But they did take time to wave to some of the spectators who were going by and that. So but it was amazing to watch.
Fantastic.
But no, I mean, going back to the Grand Prix, I mean, at least it's hotting up, because from the start of the season,
6 different winners this year. Yeah. The last time that happened was, I think it was
2012. It was 2012 that they had about 10 race.
2012. It was, oh God, I can't remember. The race podcast I was listening to last night said it was a bit later than that. Something like 2016 or something like that.
But in 2012, they had like every different driver just about won one.
That was a superb year. Yes, I remember that year, and that was a superb year. It really was.
And that's kind of how you want it. I mean, at least it's exciting. At least you've got 3 or 4 teams that are now in the hunt for wins. Although Verstappen is still pulling away, but it's it would be nice to see. I mean, I felt for Lando yesterday because I think he wanted to beat Lewis, didn't he? Because he was in the lead, and he thought, right, put on the soft tires, and that'll.
He should have won. It should have been. It should have been a McLaren one too. So I've got a few things I want to show you. Can I go through these clips?
Yes, definitely.
We can move on, and I'll probably shut up because you're going to talk about GT7, and I don't give a shit. No. So I'm going to try and. How could Nico Hulk? Sorry. Let's go for this one. I'm going to do that.
If this works, I'll be amazed.
Oh, it'll work. We've done it before. It's a bit
like Red Dwarf. We're waiting for Crichton to come.
Yes, it's not our first rodeo. So if I go, I need to find some things. Right, so I'm going to not be able to see. I think I'm going to be able to not see the chat anymore. So if anyone's chatting, I won't care, like I ever do.
I think it should come up on the screen if we share it.
Yeah, give me a second. Come on, I've got it ready. I just it's called present now, isn't it? Oh.
Yes, you got to present it.
Present. Share screen.
For all those listening on the podcast, we're going to see some of Rue's videos that he has hijacked from Sky F1.
This could go very wrong. Make sure you share the right video, Rue, because I think me and Hugh are very much aware of what is usually found on your computer.
You have no idea what I find on YouTube.
Oh, come on. Yep, it's there. So, do you want to play it or do I play it?
Well, I play it. You share it, you pellic.
All right.
So it appears on the screen. God. You know anything.
Look at this.
Right. So these are all taken, whatever the word is. Things, Sky, crappy F1 crap. So this is at the beginning. This is, I'll play it because I can't remember.
Lap 19.
My God, I turned that off. There you go. So this is Norris going past Hamilton. Right. This is where my nerdiness comes in. Look at the lines. Now, Hamilton manages to clip the apex coming up. Norris clips the apex, but he also takes some of the curb. So he's got so much. This is lap 19. This is when you had the drizzle.
Yeah.
And Norris has so much more grip. So much more. So in this drizzle phase, the McLarens had so much more grip. Now, what I've heard over the past few weeks about the McLarens is that they have a lot of mechanical grip, but they're not quite so good at high-speed downforce turns. Whereas the Red Bull, I don't know about the Mercedes so much, but the Red Bull has a lot of the high-speed corner grip, and it's brilliant with that. And apparently Verstappen's been railing against the team saying, sort this out. So This is where everyone's been catching them up, you see. Now, so if you've got a lot of mechanical grip, you're going to have an advantage in this kind of corner in the wet. Okay? So if you watch this, so you see he clips the apex. He doesn't need to send a telegram, as my old commentary used to say. He doesn't need to send a telegram now. Watch. I want you to watch Norris in the car behind, his line, but then if you can, depending whether I manage to catch it, watch what happens to the back end of Lewis's car. So look at that. He's managing to take, it's a small margin.
Yeah.
Look at Lewis's car. The back end is already coming out, stepping out.
Yeah.
Look at that. Whereas Norris is so much more in control of the car. Lewis, now, we know Lewis is pretty damn good, even though I think he's a bit of a tit. He's very, very good at driving the car.
And he drove his heart out yesterday. Absolutely drove his heart out.
This was the first win he'd had since
2021.
2021, where he had that very interesting loss because apparently the rules can be changed when the one
that was the race after that one. It was Saudi Arabia was his last win. Saudi Arabia was the one where That was it was Abu Dhabi. Abu Dhabi.
Oh, Abu Dhabi. Okay, so the penultimate race of that season, where he didn't get his 8th World Championship, is the last time he's won.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. So you can see that Lewis is having a bit of problems here, and then it gains a little bit of time. He's got a bit of overspeed going into this corner, but look at the line. He's over. Let me try and use that. So
like
he's on the curves. He is, but it's something I've tried to teach you in my engineer role with you sometimes, which I learned from Jackie Stewart. It's not your entry speed that matters. It's your exit speed. Because then you're gaining time on the straight from the beginning, okay? Yeah. Right, so you can see how far across he is there. You see he's on the curb already?
Yep.
Norris doesn't go near it.
Shall I weigh in slightly here?
Yeah, let me finish. You can weigh in as much as you like. You can even ask me to rewind it, buddy. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So, say nothing, Andrew. Then he's reeling him in, and he's reeling him in because he has traction.
Yeah.
Lewis can't put the throttle down. We know what that's like. We've both played ACC and GT7. See, he's just reeling him in, approaching the corner. Lewis misses the apex by 1,000,000 miles. Norris clips it perfectly. So he doesn't have to lift. Whereas Lewis, I don't know, obviously, it would be nice if Formula One, instead of giving you a helmet cam you can see bugger all from, gave you some, maybe, I don't know, throttle thing, which they do 1,000,000 times already, but not today. So he's catching. Thank you very much. Doesn't go anywhere near with a lovely slippery wet paint. Now, Lewis is doing a fantastic job of keeping it together. It's not like he's lost it. You, I, and everybody else on the planet would die already. We'd be in the barriers. And there you go. He's got the speed. And also, super clean racing. You know, Lewis isn't doing anything stupid. Now, and this is the other thing. On the brakes. See? On the brakes. Norris just cruises past. Now, do you see the sparks coming off there?
Yeah.
I'm going to come back to that. I've got a couple of photographs. Let me just actually.
Do you want me to remove that
one? Going past Verstappen. Can you see that?
Hang on. Will I remove this one? Will I remove
Verstappen?
This?
Oh, I thought it was the same window. No, I did the wrong thing. It's okay. No, it's a don't matter.
Okay.
We'll forget that. I thought it was the window it was going for. Okay, so and then he cruises past. So that's Norris going past. What's his face? I can't forget his name. What's his name? Hamilton.
There we go.
So the McLarens were so much better in those sort of in between. You know, as Neil was saying earlier, those in between the drizzly, oily, slippery conditions, and from what I understand, a lot of it is down to the mechanical grip that they can generate.
Yeah.
As opposed to the likes of the Red Bull. Don't know about the Mercedes. Don't know, but I'm guessing the Mercedes also can't generate that sort of relatively slow speed mechanical grip. Okay, so the weakness of the McLaren at the moment, and I want to say this, I am so pleased the McLaren is back at the top. McLaren, I liked Williams, but McLaren was my team. McLaren was the Hakkinen and Coulthard. They were my boys. Even with Ron, Botherboy, Dennis. What the hell's going on with that fella?
My goodness.
I don't miss Ron at all.
Now, sorry, Neil, you were going to say can Neil come in with his bit because he was going
to talk. So I'm done. I'll finish my analysis there, and
Neil, over to you.
Yeah, well, I was just going to go off the back of you could see there where they just come in exiting. Is it Vale? It's Vale, isn't it?
I've never managed to remember
any
corners in Silverstone. I mostly remember the corners at Spa because I shout at people when they get them wrong.
So, Norris has managed to close the gap so quickly because two things are working in his favour. He's got more mechanical grip. He's also, because he's able to use that wetter part of the circuit, whereas Hamilton clearly isn't, because he's driving on the normal.
At this point, by the way, I think they're still on slicks at this point. I think these were the ones that didn't go on to intermediates and stuff like that.
In that clip, Hamilton is using the conventional racing line, which is slippier because he hasn't got the confidence in the car.
Okay.
All the mechanical grip. I think you're right. All the mechanical grip to use that damper part of the circuit.
Explain for people that the standard racing line in the wet is worse because it's got that layer of rubber. It's laid down, and that the wet makes it worse, doesn't it?
Yeah. So because there's that build-up of rubber on the normal racing line, you put water on top of it, absolute ice rink. Off the racing line, even if it's wet, you've still got that abrasive surface to get your tyres dug into. So you have, it's marginal, but you have more grip.
Yeah, but those kind of speeds, marginal makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference, yeah. So, and you pointed out, he's also not gone anywhere near the rumble strip, which is a big
painted surfaces. I'm a biker.
Painted surfaces don't go anywhere near them, and that is a big thing in games like. It's not really represented very well in Gran Turismo.
Yeah,
it's definitely represented well in ACC. Don't go anywhere near the curbs.
Yeah,
but because he's able to,
in GT7,
it does exist. It does exist. The biggest one, and going back to Formula One, the one that stands out for me was the I think it was a German Grand Prix or Hockenheim. Not Hockenheim.
Oh, are we talking with Vettel?
Yeah, remember that there was
he was leaving the race and then he ended up.
It was wet in a few years back, but they were touching that. They just painted that massive area, hadn't they?
This is post new Hockenheim, and then not only did Vettel come off then, but then later they were coming off a bit, and then there's that little drag strip, which is painted, and they were just going woohoo, like it was ice,
just pirouetting off into the distance, and that is a prime example of why you should just ignore anything with paint on. So Norris has got himself onto the grippier. He's got to the grippier part of the circuit. It's given him a better exit because most people would think in racing, apexes are important, but it very much depends on what corner follows or what type of the track or the circuit. It's
balance,
follows.
Isn't it? It's the balance of like
if you've got
the apex compared with what you lose and gain, and
the more speed that you can carry coming out onto the easiest way, and this is why a lot of you'll see F1 drivers, they've got this karting background. They'd have learnt this from karting because karting's all about carrying speed because you don't have the acceleration.
Okay, that makes sense because you haven't got the power.
You haven't got the power, so it's all about.
I learned this with crappy cars that if you there was a sorry, I know I'm going in, but this is kind of like a
carry on.
I used to religiously read Car Magazine in the 90s and stuff like this. I mean, that's why it's so embarrassing the other week when I couldn't remember what a Volvo 360 was. It was so bad because I literally knew every power output, handling, everything, fuel economy of every car in Britain and some from America because I read them and I didn't memorize them. It just stuck in there. But I remember this article. It was a Quentin Wilson article, and it was one of the last ones he did. And he was talking about how they were driving these supercars through mid Wales. I live in northwest Wales, and on these little tiny roads, and they got overtaken by a little pop Fiesta with some lad and a Pop Fiesta, because they were in these massively powerful, huge, wide cars, but they couldn't put the power down. They didn't know how to drive the roads. And this guy was like being held up in a Pop Fiesta by these hundreds of horsepower supercars.
Mm.
And it got him thinking. And what he was thinking is that people of my age and that Baldy's age, we were used to crappy cars growing up.
Yeah.
I mean, cars, even in the past, even 30 years ago, the suspension, brakes, and grip of cars have revolutionized at some point. And now everyone thinks everything drives brilliantly, but it never used to.
Mm.
So Skinny Tire Pop Fiesta was a fantastic place to learn, because you learnt to be able to feel grip. And because you didn't have a really good engine, you had 60 horsepower at best. 40 if you had the little 950. You had to keep your momentum up. So your cornering improved massively. And I had an episode Polonaise, as Hugh and John know. And it was actually relatively powerful. It was on 95 horsepower. But you had to keep your momentum up.
Yeah.
You had to be able to take the corner as fast as you can. So you got your lines right. You got to get your braking right. You got to get your your throttle right, or the back end starts going on you. Yeah. Or if a front wheel drive, your front end starts going on you. Power understeer. So that makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And it carries through all from karting up to F1. If you've got you're always looking, if there's a section of corners, you're planning 2-3 corners ahead.
Right. Yeah.
So
they're seeing so far ahead, aren't they? They've got to see.
You're not just karting's slightly different, because you don't need to do that because the speed isn't there. But with F1, because you're going so much faster, you're planning 2 or 3 corners, if not more, ahead. So especially through sections like Maggots and Beckett's, you've got to get that entry right, so you get the exit right out onto the Hanger Straight.
Or you're 20 mile an hour slower and you get drafted past, which is what I was saying about Jackie Stewart used to say.
Yeah.
The entry might be slower, but your exit is what's important, because on the straight, you're just going to be...
That's it. And it's more important, exit speed is important if you've got a straight after it, because what you want to do is make sure, and I was always taught when I was being tutored, never go full throttle until you know you haven't got to take it off.
Yeah, that's a Jackie Stewart thing, isn't it? That's the
Yes.
So in corners like that where Hamilton and Norris are battling, Norris has got himself into a position where he knows he can just nail it, whereas Hamilton's having to drive a bit more defensively. He's got onto the paint, so he's got less grip. Norris has possibly taken a later apex, but a faster exit, and you can see the difference in the straight. By the end of, or coming into Cops, he's miles ahead. I mean, he's done him before the braking zone, and he's also on a part of the track where the braking zone is probably not on the normal racing line. It will be on the damper part of the circuit. So he'll have more grip then as well. So he's able to brake later. And that's my little, there you go. That's my input for tonight.
No, that's brilliant. Sorry, I mean, literally, I was a little bit late because I was going through all these things, because I don't watch the Formula One anymore, because I mean, this.
You what?
Well, I
ditched it a year and a half ago. I ditched it watching 2 years ago because I can't afford to pay Sky's subscription. I watch Channel 4, and Channel 4 so. Well, they take Sky's feed.
Yeah.
So this is. I mean, people might disagree with me, okay? And this is something. This is another thing. This is weirdly interesting about these clips, okay? And I've always had. For the 30 odd years I've been watching Formula One, because I've not watched it since I was a kid. It certainly wasn't something in my household. My ex-wife got me into Formula One. people used to go, "Oh, you make her watch Formula One." It's like, no, she made me watch it, and I got into it. I was into rally driving. That's what I was into.
Yeah.
Formula One was just driving around in circles, and then she got me into it, and it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was superb. But the big problem I have with modern Formula One, I have some issues with the actual Formula One circus, is the coverage, because if you can't see it,
they miss
you
an awful
can't
lot.
enjoy it.
Yeah.
So
they missed it completely when Hamilton closed in on Russell, and it was literally took like a second out of him, and you could see it.
I think I've got.
And
I might even have a clip of it, but I don't know. I don't. But yeah, sorry, carry on.
Simon is saying that Sky and Channel 4 are watching right now and looking to contact Rue's agent. Well,
I've got an agent, or I would commit myself to something like that. No, not a chance. In my sort of mindset, I can see the ridiculousness of people's egos and outlook on life. Unfortunately, the way my life has gone in the past 20 years means that I've had the worst of people's characters presented to me in a very forceful fashion. So I can see that these people that are directors and all this, TV directors, they're going, "Oh, I want to do something that marks me out as clever." So, and I remember it coming in with Bernie, where they have clever cameras that pan round like that on it, and it's like, well, I always wanted to see the on-car camera.
Yeah. That was a
now
big
they've
thing.
gone, "Oh, let's show," but then they did this thing where we want to see an audience reaction, and you've heard me say this a bunch of times. Okay, so you get something good happen, and then they immediately do 10 minutes of people going, "Oh, I don't give a crap what's going on in the audience." Yeah. When I go to the cinema, I don't sit down, then stand up, kneel on my chair, and watch everybody's reaction to the film. I watch the film. Yeah. No one goes to the theatre and watches people's reaction to the show. You watch the bloody show. I don't care how excited the people are. I want to see the racing. Thank you very much. Stop messing about. I don't want to see a slow-mo of a flag. I don't want to see a slow-mo of some bint in the pit.
Was it not
I want to see the racing. If you've got 2 hours to show it, show the racing.
On a slightly
Sorry,
Ru, on that, because I know it started with someone like, I think was it Monza or was it Germany? One of the two. It was this particular track that started. They were very good at doing slow mos. So remember, they used to do those wonderful slow
flags. The flag would go,
but no, it wasn't the flags. It wasn't. It was they would look at the cars. I'm talking about they would do the slow mos of
the slow mo of the car.
Yeah, kind of coming around the corner and if it was like on 3 wheels or things like that. Now I can't remember what track it was that kind of started to perfect it. If it was Italy or if it was Germany, because that's when they all started to do this, and it was quite good. But I remember
it was really good. And then they decided that instead of because I like slow mos, if you can get, because I remember Brundle used to talk about, right, look at this slow mo, look at how they're doing this, look at the wheels bouncing, and you would learn something from it, you would see something from it. There would be something that you got from the slow mo because it had a point, mate. It had a point. The point was showing you something you couldn't see otherwise. Then it went to what we really need is to see the hub of a wheel very slowly.
Yeah.
What the hell are you learning from that? What are you seeing that matters?
To make it look more dramatic, isn't it? And to give it more sort of,
what these people did is they've been watching way too much Big Brother.
Yeah.
They've been watching so much fake drama that they missed the actual drama of
doing something else.
Gods driving at 200 miles per hour, risking their lives, passing it, the skill. We don't want that, mate. Well, we've got to drive to survive, innit? Right, so we're going to do like a helmet cam. And this is the helmet cam. I'm going to do the helmet cam for you now. You ready?
Have you read Jonathan before you? Have you read Jonathan?
You can see how brilliant they are. Look at them. They're fantastic.
Have you read Jonathan's comments? Jonathan said it wasn't a slow motion.
Too busy shouting.
He said it wasn't slow motion.
Apparently you like me shouting, but this is the truth.
He said, Jonathan said it wasn't slow motion. It was Perez.
God, John, we've got to get John back on this show.
I like that one.
Captain Sutherland, you're not studying now. Get back, get on this thing. All right, take over from me. Anyway, so and the other thing they do, so they got the stupid helmet cam. They're going, I've got to imagine a helmet cam. They're going around a corner. I'm like, what corner? Well, I can see the blur. It's literally a blur.
It is. Even like the helmet, you get a visor cam. Yeah.
And it's like,
I'll tell you one that annoys me. It's just reminded me. You'll be watching the race, and then all of a sudden, it will cut to a grandstand, for example, and I will demonstrate, I will reenact exactly what happens.
Go on, then. Yes.
Exactly.
That's my point. Oh, I'm on the screen.
Yeah.
Why do I want to watch that?
Audience reaction, which is then the audience of Big Brother going, I'm on this. I'm
The Japanese ones are the best. The Japanese ones are the best. That's a bit more like this.
That's it.
They're brilliant.
Was it not? Time. Did they not find? It was what's his name? Rowan Atkinson.
Look at the finish.
Yeah.
Mad finish, man. Tem. And we love you, Tem.
I'm sure they had Rowan Atkinson on. Was he not? Yes, on yesterday, or was it last week? He was on the grid walk, and they also filmed him in the pits. Yeah, it was yesterday, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And he does very good reactions because I remember when he was supporting Hamilton a couple of years ago at McLaren, and I think Hamilton went off or something happened, and he makes this great kind of shock of what had happened, and of course he realizes that all the cameras are actually watching him. But he's very good because he can do all the faces, and he doesn't take himself seriously. So it was very good. Yes, I was in Mercedes yesterday. That's right.
I watched. Did anyone watch on a slightly different motorsport topic? But did anybody watch the Le Mans 24-hour race?
I saw a few highlights.
I've never managed to watch very much of those.
I was watching it about. I couldn't sleep. It was about 3:00 in the morning, and I was just watching it. And
excellent
it was night time.
Very good.
And
when you simply can't sleep. No, I'm with you on that one.
It cut to the garage. I think it was the Ferrari garage. I could be wrong, but the mechanics. There's about 6 of them. They're all sat there.
It's always miserable,
and they're just looking up at the monitors.
Term slipped,
and then they realise that they're on camera. So the guy furthest away from the camera takes his cap off and then spends the next 30 seconds trying to balance it on the helmet of the pit crew member next to him. And it kept sliding off. And he kept trying to put it back on again. And I think the cameraman realised this is probably the funniest thing that's going to happen for the next 6 hours. So we'll just stay with this for a bit. And it was just literally like 3 or 4 minutes of somebody trying to balance a cap on somebody's head. It was hilarious.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. That's brilliant.
It's quite interesting though, because at least I remember when they first brought in the kind of in-car cameras for Formula One, and they were quite, they were suddenly cut out, weren't they? So you get a kind of flash, like
because they didn't get the signal and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And that was great when they sorted that out.
But I mean, it was so good watching it because you got a chance to see just even what the steering wheel was like and how many buttons were on the wheel and all
what they were doing, mate. What they were doing.
Yeah.
How they were steering and the reactions. And the reason why it worked is because you could see it. Helmet cam is just, you can be in the cockpit with them. Well, you can be in a cockpit with them by banging your head on a wall and jumping up and down or being really pissed because it's the same kind of view.
The older cockpit cams were better because you could actually see driver input.
But that's my point. But it wasn't the camera's fault. It's their approach. It's like, I mean, look, I'm weirdly a weird sort of conglomeration of academic, intellectual, and practical. chemistry is a practical subject. You got to be in a lab. You got to be practical. And my dad, God, my dad was a World War I/II vet and a gravedigger and a caretaker. So bloody academics in a university. So it was like, you don't even know how to wire a plug, So I kind of got brought up thinking that it's embarrassing just to be intellectual, shall we say. So I needed to know how to do things. So I've always had this idea. If you're doing something, whatever it is, in whatever way, I don't care how high or low your level is, there's got to be a point. So what's the point of this helmet cam? And the point is morons with no brain cells going, I'm experiencing shaking in a car. But the point for the directors, the people that are putting it forward, is that they have no clue what other people actually want. It's like Hollywood now. They have no idea what a good film is. Helen and I, on Saturday night, we went to the Printworks in Manchester and we watched a 25th anniversary showing in a big proper cinema, very comfortable seats. There were electric recliners, it's incredible, of The Mummy. Mummy. Now, The Mummy's a terrible film. She'll tell you. The Mummy's a terrible film. And I pissed myself laughing. It was so funny. It was great. Yeah. It was so good. And Hollywood has no idea how to do that because they've got whatever the hell it is they're trying to achieve. It's not to make an entertaining thing that happens to be a film. And
I think if it's like
100 years...
Because his first selection was Rachel Weisz.
Simon Bless. I've got to say, she's really. I noticed because first time I've seen her on such a big screen, she's got really nice freckles. Daniel Craig's a very lucky man. But the point is they made a film that was entertaining. It's a great.
I think you're getting agreement with the vast majority.
While we're on the subject of films, just very quickly. So I was perusing through Netflix the other day.
Oh dear!
And I stumbled across a new Beverly Hills Cop movie. Now,
yes, it's the new Beverly Hills.
A few people may not know what Beverly Hills Cop is. However,
how can people?
Those of us from the 80s and 90s will know there was Beverly Hills Cop 1.
Eddie Murphy.
Mm-hmm. Beverly Hills Cop 2, which was amazing. Beverly Hills Cop 3
in the cinema.
Beverly Hills Cop 3, which was
had the album.
Yeah, it was bad, wasn't it? It wasn't as. Yeah.
And
3
was a little bit. 3 was just a waste of time.
Make money.
But the fourth one, I looked at it and I thought, do I want to watch this? Because I'm kind of, I know that it's going to be awful because it's not the original. And for people from that generation like myself that grew up watching the original, you know every theme tune from start to finish.
And also the way they're doing sequels these days is so
they just
bad.
ruin them completely.
However,
bad. Not only was Eddie Murphy in it,
yes,
Haggart was in it from the first one.
Yeah, one of the originals.
Billy Rosewood is in it.
What's his face? The one with the big guns. I love it in Beverly Hills Cop 2 when he's got more and more guns and knives, and he goes, "Mate, you've really got to get help." And he's like,
"Yeah.
Personal protection."
So Rosewood was in it, even though he's now portly. I think is probably the most polite way of putting it. He's in it. And it literally is another Beverly Hills Cop movie. Eddie Murphy's funny. He's witty.
This is part of the backlash, mate, isn't it? Don't you think?
So it is good.
Yeah, and it's really, really good. And I thought, do you know what? I sat there afterwards and I just thought, do you know what? Well done, because you haven't ruined it. You've actually made an extension.
So are we talking the sort of the Beverly Hills Cop version of Top Gun Maverick, where they actually made a really good film?
Yeah.
I say really good. Not even Maverick wasn't like a really good film. It's not like,
but it was a lot better than
20 years ago.
You won't beat the original of Top Gun because the original Top Gun was, although the campest film ever made,
I hated it.
I've never seen the original.
I absolutely hated
it. You don't like it, and Hugh's never seen it. Right, I'm out.
Right, I don't like it for a very simple reason. Even with Kelly McGillis in it, which is a reason to watch anything, frankly, in those days. And that very nice Kawasaki was riding. The reason I hated it was the utterly awful flying scenes.
Yeah,
where you get 2 planes, and then you go like this with the camera, and they're 50 times they're firing the same missile. Now he knows. Hold on, I'm backwards. He knows how picky I am with these things. Jonathan would be insanely annoyed. Who is Rachel Weisz? You kid?
He's doing that to annoy you. You know.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
Tell you what, it won't annoy me, but it'll annoy Helen because she thinks he's hot. Anyway, the point is, honestly, the flying scenes in Maverick were superb. So, Rush, the stupid film named after the best musical band in the world ever, where they made Nicky Lauda out to be a guy that can't drive, but is really good at setting a car up. It's like, I mean, I like Ron Howard, but he's done this to two films now. Apollo 13. I'm a big fan of John of Lovell. I like space. John's a big fan of space and space travel and all this kind of stuff as well. And they really screwed that up a lot. Yeah. And then Rush, they really screwed that up, trying to make it one-dimensional dramatic. And it's like, no. And I have a real problem with the way they portray racing. They even did it a little bit in, quite a lot actually, in, was it Ford versus Ferrari, but not quite as bad, where you can tell the cars are doing 27.3 miles per hour, and they've got the camera doing this. It's like, cars don't look like that. Yeah. Everybody else loved it because they have no idea what racing cars actually look like.
The worst car film I've ever seen is the new Gran Turismo movie.
I'm not bothered with that.
That was the worst film I've ever seen. But that was on every ground. It was terrible.
Dun.
And it was so disappointing as well because, I think it was more disappointing for people that play Gran Turismo.
Yeah.
Yes,
exactly. It was a bad film either way, regardless of whether you play Gran Turismo or not. But because they'd tried to be clever with it and put these stupid graphics over the top, and
it's annoying.
Because they think that's what people want. You see, this is what I'm saying. They think they know what you're after.
Yeah,
but they are. It's like someone living in a gated community in Islington with £1 million a week coming into their bank account, politician, understanding how someone living on the breadline sees the increase in food prices.
It just came. I watched it,
it's
and I
same
thought
thing. They have no idea.
It's not worthy of a cinema, in my opinion. No. The Gran Turismo movie is a. Yeah, it's a £2.50 Woolworths bargain bin straight to the bottom special. It's awful.
I watched Crystal Drinker review it and saying he thought it was quite a good film, and it's and supposedly he's a gamer, but you know he's not a sim racer. And the thing is, Hatrick knows I'm not actually a sim racer, don't you? Because I didn't even, when I first joined this stupid show, I didn't even know what sim racing was until he educated me. And it took about 6 months to do that. So now I get it. I mean, I love driving and I love racing, but it's like, I don't think I could watch that now because I would be spending, ask Helen, she'll know, I would spend every 2 seconds going, well, that's wrong. No, that's wrong. That's wrong. Now, it's not like I have a problem with things being impossible. You know? They talk about the suspension of disbelief, but there is one rule I think is unbreakable in filmmaking, television making, or even Formula One coverage. coverage, for example. It has to be believable in the world you're in. So in Formula One, if they want you to believe they're trying to do coverage of a race, you need to be able to see the race. And the things I've got here, if we ever get around to them, you don't have to, you can actually see what they're doing. And it's like, wow, that was pretty good. But if you see a slow motion close-up of a wheel rim, which is what they do, or a pod, a side pod, or the race that finally stopped me even bothering to look at the highlights, which was Monaco 2 years ago. Or maybe last year. I can't even remember. I was so distressed by it. So there was a thing where somebody overtook someone on, I think, the third from last corner. In about 50 yards, they used three. Hold on, let's get through. Three cuts. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
It might have been a really amazing overtake, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know because I didn't see any of it. I saw this.
It's too close to it. Yeah, it's too close to it, so they can't.
Well, no, it wasn't too close. It was. Look, let me show you something. If I go
At
like
least
this,
he's sober this week, Sparks.
see
Last
me
week was interesting.
you can see me move.
Yeah.
But if I do this,
you can't. Yeah,
you just feel sick and want to throw up.
Yeah.
You can see nothing. I can't take it in. And maybe it's because I'm really old. Shut up, you young person.
Were you intoxicated whilst you were watching this race? Just asking for a friend.
Shut your face.
There you go.
No, I wasn't.
They used now. I'm trying to remember. When I watched the Gran Turismo movie, there's a scene where the driver, Jan, was it Magnussen, or whatever his name was?
Jan Mardenborough.
Yeah, Mardenborough, who is a very good driver in real life, and I think they really didn't do a very good job of representing him.
Whoa. Who?
Jan Mardenborough. He was the one who's the star in the film. You know, they based the film on. He's the one who's raced in real life. Okay, but he used it. Hang on. Can I see?
The GT7 and became
a real racer.
Driving real. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Because there's a bit in it where he says, he didn't perform as well because his brakes were dodgy or something, wasn't it? And he used this term that I never heard anywhere else. It was something like fried brakes, or it was a kind of
glazed brakes.
Really?
Yeah, glazed brakes.
Oh,
and I never heard that term ever.
Never heard that term. Your brake discs being glazed.
Was it glazed? I thought it was something else. It was
glazed. Yeah, so glazed it's basically it's heat build-up.
Yeah, it's heat build-up, and it actually glazes the pads, not the brakes.
Yeah. It's a bit of a.
You get a surface glass-like structure.
Yeah. And the brakes
on
will
the
fade.
Brake pads. Sorry, mate. Then maybe it's because you're young. You're 6 years younger than me, and you don't understand these things.
I didn't.
Glazed brakes is something that's pretty. Wow, Neil had agreed on something. What's going on?
That's different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Wow.
But
he's getting married now.
It was kind of ridiculous.
We're going to make babies. Is that what
Rue, I've even, if you look, Rue, I've even tidied up where the magic happens behind me, just for you.
You're about half an hour behind me because I saw it, but we were talking. Apparently, I'll take over all the conversations.
There might be a TV remote on the bed, mate. I will remove that later. Just
No, it's okay. I never actually. No, I didn't. I did comment on it, but I was kind of joining in.
I know the film was.
I was being a bit of a.
The Gran Turismo film was made to be ridiculous. Because as you see,
it's ridiculous. It looks like
everything was all close up. So
have you ever seen Unstoppable?
Were ridiculously close, and it was all done to try and it was almost for 7-year-olds. You know, to try and make it look.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Ridley Scott's film Unstoppable, like the massive train?
Oh yeah, that was quite good with Denzel Washington.
Do you know why that was a brilliant film? It had Denzel Washington in it. Maybe if Gran Turismo had Denzel in it. Because Denzel, honestly, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the film's about. It could be about aliens coming down and impregnating slugs to turn into the prime. Oh, no, that's actually true. Anything crazy, Denzel's in it, going to be good.
You can make it work. But no,
it's Denzel. What the hell are you talking about?
We had one of the guys in the chat earlier, I think it was DTR, say what the new F1 movie is going to be like. Because Brad Pitt...
the Apple TV one.
Yeah, the Apple TV one. There was a trailer.
Anyway, I want to shout at people.
I'm not
Drew,
sure.
you okay, mate? Yeah, you really need to do. I encourage everybody to look at the back catalogue of the Hatrick channel, because if you think this is unusual, you haven't got a effing clue.
Watch last
You
week.
think that? Ask Helen. I'm a passionate, angry man.
Loud, pain.
Drew's rants became a thing because of this Baldy Scotsman.
But yes, because I think Formula One is very difficult to make a movie about. Really, like all sports, because otherwise, I don't
1966 Grand Prix, James Garner, Steve McQueen. Did I not send you that clip?
Yeah, in modern day, we're talking.
I think there isn't really any good ones.
Oh my God! Only because they're all wusses and stupid.
Yeah, but it is. Well, it's
awesome. They're actually racing. They've got F1 drivers. They're doing like 160 mile an hour cameras on the car. Well, it's just a film, isn't it? No. Stupid. It's crap.
What it has, I think, the tendency of that it will turn into the kind of Netflix style movie, or in terms of the like Drive to Survive, it will be very kind of like that, rather than they'll try and build up all the emotion and all that kind of things.
F1's turned into
it wouldn't be. It's just, I think, it's fine for a series, but not for a movie.
I think it's going to be the same kind of problem that the Gran Turismo sort of movie had.
Yeah.
There's going to be two types of people that watch it. There's going to be people that are fans of F1, and there's people that aren't fans of F1. The people that aren't fans of F1 and want to watch a movie because it's a movie, will probably enjoy it more than the fans of F1, because the fans of F1 will be more critical. They'll find bits that are not right, and they'll find bits that could have been more accurate. And whereas the other people will see it for what it is, it's just a dramatic movie with F1 cars.
Yeah, the people that don't care, they'll oh, that's really good.
But the people that follow F1 and people that are passionate about F1 as a sport will go no. No, that's
it's not the people that don't think there's any kind of diversity in Star Wars.
It's like the Fast and the Furious movies. If you watch any of those, if you're into cars, Fast and Furious is the stupidest movies ever going, because there's
how many gears has the car got?
Exactly. They sit on a grid. There's 4 cars. They do a quarter-mile run.
I'm going as fast as I can possibly go. Oh my God, it's overtaken him. I've got 4 more gears now.
And also, it's, we live our lives a quarter mile at a time, but apparently in the world of Fast and the Furious, a quarter-mile drag race takes 15 minutes, but the cars seem to be going really quickly.
Around here.
And like Rue says, every couple of seconds, gear change. It's like they get to 6th, and then what they do is they cut to another car, they fit a new gearbox, and then they use another 6 in that one to film the next part of the movie. It's just constant gear changes. But
I've kind of made it a thing of mine. I will never watch a Fast and Furious movie. I've not seen any of them.
If you want to watch a movie, if you like movies that have got a load of action and explosions and things,
1 in 60 seconds.
But
I know it was a remake of it. I want to see the original at some point, okay? But the Nicolas Cage Gone in 60 Seconds is one of my favourite movies ever.
That was good. That was fun.
Eleanor. I wanted to call my daughter Eleanor.
Yeah, that was really good.
Actually, it was okay. It was also because of the flower in The Lord of the Rings, which, by the way, are the worst films ever made, ever.
Oh, there'll be comments building up in that.
Oh, don't start me on that, because I will actually murder everybody with that one.
Oh, God, don't start me on anything.
I'm with Helen because she was told to come into the cafe bar I was in. I'm going to hurt you, Simon. Not in a Rigby. There's Thimble Mine and there's Eleanor. There's flowers in Lothlorien. On the hill of Dol Amroth. Shut up. Oh, I'm going to
Are you sure that's forest fruits in that glass you're drinking?
Oh, you have no idea, mate. This is a. I shouldn't have started this.
No, you shouldn't. No, you're right. You shouldn't.
But yes,
I may have read the books a couple of times.
Let's miss Lord of the Rings.
By a couple of times, I mean 65 times each. So, including the last time to Helen. Anyway, and my kids. I've read them to my kids because, I really like the books a little bit.
Hugh, what were you saying?
Yes, sports movies overall can be hit or miss, and mainly miss. And there are very few that can. Although, to be fair, the Rocky movies, because they had that kind of cult status, didn't they? They had that kind of. I mean, now they're even more popular now than they were before. I watched a trailer of the Rocky movie a while ago.
They are pretty good.
And they were saying that they were actually BAFTA nominated.
I've only seen the first one. Second, first two.
The newer one, Balboa, was good, and both Creed films, or all three Creed films. Were there 3 or 2? 3.
I don't know. I haven't seen any of them.
Yeah, because there's the one where he fights.
Is this where he's mentoring the lad who's the son of Apollo Creed?
Yeah, so there's one where he fights Tony Bellew.
I heard about it. I understood it was a good film, but I'm not.
Then he fights Drago's kid, and then he fights the guy that was in prison because so there's 3, but all of those are quite good as well. But it's quite rare to find that. It's quite rare when they sort of drag a sort of a series out.
Being good. Yeah, that is true.
Yeah,
I'm with you on that. Even back in the day, sequels were not going to be good, were they? It was.
Yeah.
But
it happens now and again.
Can I quickly point them? Normally, going back to the Formula One movie that they're making, which I think is a bit onerous in how it sounds. Brad Pitt, though, does usually quite good films. I mean, he does tend to make quite a good effort and perform quite well. So,
Fight Club,
do you think that might be this? Sorry,
Fight Club, brilliant.
Yeah. Do you think that might be its saving grace? That perhaps maybe he can get a good storyline and maybe make it.
It could be what we were saying about the Denzel Washington type theory.
Yeah,
if you put a decent actor in it, then it might be half decent.
Denzel.
Yeah,
I think, but there's a few of them, isn't there? There's a few actors that if you put them in it, then it's going to be good. So, like Tom Hanks, any movie with Tom Hanks in.
No, I've got
Morgan Freeman is another one. Any movie with Morgan Freeman.
Denzel and Morgan.
Yeah, he's good. Denzel Washington.
No, Helen, what's his name? What's it? Oh, John Malkovich.
Oh, yeah, John Malkovich.
I want Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, and Denzel Washington in some film.
I don't care.
Honestly, I don't care. I'd be watching it.
I have an answer for that. Have you seen a film called Red?
I have read and read too.
Yeah.
I've seen it many times, bought for me by my children for my birthday. For Christmas.
Doesn't have Denzel Washington in it, but you got Morgan Freeman, John Malkovich, Bruce Willis. I think that's it. They're good. Where's he gone? Oh, he's off. Thank God for that. Can he hear that?
Yes. You dick.
Watch that. There you go.
Yeah.
That's
Even Bruce Willis, who's generally bloody awful, is brilliant in it because it's basically the same. I mean, I've been watching Bruce Willis since he was in Moonlighting, and he's played the same character in all of them. But then I watched another Ridley Scott film, Last Boy Scout, very good in that, and that's pretty much the same story as all of the what's it called?
Can I quickly digress because Simon has asked a very good question here.
Simon,
I haven't seen.
Sometimes he does that.
I didn't know anything about this.
Sparks hasn't seen a DVD for 10 years.
Simon said that in the.
How old are you?
Hello.
I can hear you. I'm just cutting across you. What the hell?
In the marketing tech. Oh, you know when they do
You've
the
met me before. 5 years we've known each other. What's wrong with you?
Oh, I know. Look, in the media tent, when Lando was being interviewed, Simon said that they had fake interviews going on in the background. Now that's something I wasn't aware of. But Neil, you are nodding there. What you can maybe tell us more?
I think there was it's all tying into this release of the
Drive to Survive.
What's it called? No.
Or the movie.
of the movie.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think it was last year they had a car at Silverstone that they were using to film footage. So I think there's a few scenes that are being filmed at Silverstone. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if they were doing sort of fake interviews with various bits or various people. And it just sort of ties in, doesn't it? Because they're releasing the trailer soon. Or have released a trailer.
I think it was yesterday, wasn't it? They released it.
So that they're probably doing something. But then again, I'm not sure if they'd release a trailer if they hadn't done got all of the footage.
Yeah, all the main bits. Yeah.
So maybe it could be something to do with Drive to Survive. I don't know whether they do fake interviews for Drive to Survive.
It'll be the movie, I reckon.
Yeah.
But, now there's so many things that have been. You saw Simon saying we saw true emotion from Lando and that nonsense going on behind him. Yeah. All right. Of course, yeah, because Sparks works for a major company there.
Sparks, can I have tickets, please? Thank you.
Brad Pitt was actually quicker than Perez. They had to edit it. That's a very good one.
Awkward.
God,
he was terrible, bless him.
But Sparks admitted that he thinks that film will be terrible. Oh dear. But he's going to watch it anyway. So that's
Here's the thing, though. Even if we think it's going to be terrible, we'll all still watch it.
Yeah, I think we'll have to see what it's like.
What it is.
Yeah. Well, I had to say I gave up with the Gran Turismo movie after about 3/4 of it. I couldn't watch anymore. It was that bad.
It was garbage. Absolute garbage.
It was terrible.
The only kind of realistic thing they managed to get right in that movie was when he flipped the car at the Nordschleife.
Yeah.
That was that looked almost real.
Yeah.
The rest of it, like I say, £2.50, bottom of the pile.
They couldn't even get the romantics right. Because remember, there's a bit where he goes to this kind of old, kind of abandoned place, and they meet up with a few of his friends, and he meets that girl, and they couldn't even have an attractive woman as his girlfriend or something. They had some woman that
at least give us something decent to look at. Like if you're not going to give us decent, races to watch, at least give us a bit of content that we can
a bit more interesting. But and they make it about, and the acting was as wooden as it could be. It was quite funny how bad it was. It was like something out of Neighbours in 1997 or something. It was. It was
one of those, isn't it? Because you won't want to watch it again. I mean, I've already lost an hour and 45 minutes of my life. I'm not going to, I'm not going to up it.
Brad Pitt was quicker than Perez. I was just going.
He must be feeling awful there at the moment. That poor guy.
Yeah,
he's
poor guy, my arse.
No, he's got to be feeling awful.
I'm saying nothing.
Simon said, "I managed
without trying to do it in such a way that they can't find me and have me knocked off by the Mexican drug militia." Just saying.
Yeah. Now, interesting what Sparks is saying there. The major problem with it is that they're using real drivers and crew in a fictional piece. Yes, that is. Yeah.
That's not a problem. That's how Grand Prix in 1966 was filmed. They had proper drivers.
Yeah, but that was in 1966.
Yeah, but they didn't have them acting. They just
times have slightly changed since then.
They're getting the. Well, they act anyway. Hello, my name's Lewis Hamilton, and you should be a climate activist. Don't make carbon dioxide. Right, I'm off. I've got to go to Jamaica now. I don't own a private jet. I sold it. I'm using my mates.
Yeah, that's the kind of thing.
Taylor Swift, and they're all the same. Yeah, so they're really good at acting. They're not very good at it, but they're very good at acting. All I care about is
Okay.
Neil's one of my moderators.
Neil, yes.
Yeah, you're like
so that was 1966. Rocky was made in the 70s.
I
if
think
you made
did,
Rocky
yes.
now, it would be crap. Yeah, it would be a typical one to kind of.
Oh yeah, I mean, we were lucky that the Neil,
that they
what
were
was it
made in
called?
those times.
The sort of the sequels with Apollo Creed's kid. What was it called? I can't remember.
Creed.
Yes, what he said. We were lucky they were as good as they were.
Yeah.
See, the thing is that the awfulness has been going on for a very long time.
Yeah.
You know, if you happen to be white and you've got a cock, you'd automatically been evil for a long time now. It's just no one's noticed.
Yeah, that's true. But as far as
you think I'm joking? Look back.
Yeah.
Look back. Every bloke, even the ones that the heroes are always been a little bit, and now it's just like, well, if you're on it, you're a baddie.
Yeah.
It's just
you have to look to some quite kind of indie films.
You're all review bombing. No, we just all think it's crap.
Yeah, but I think you have to really look
what
to
it is. Try again. Make a film, not a party political broadcast for the lesbian party, whatever. I don't care. I don't give a crap. My girlfriend's bisexual, for God's sake. Yeah. Come on.
No, that's fine. If I can say anything here, please. The issue is that a lot of the time you have to now look to the kind of indie films to kind of get some interesting stories.
But where do you find them, Hatrick?
Well, you go on the internet.
Find good indie films. I completely agree with you. Where can I find them? Where are they? They're not on YouTube.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah, no, but you can find out. You can look at trailers on YouTube, and you'll find some interesting stuff that isn't necessarily on the mainstream media, or where it would normally come. And then sometimes Prime gets bits and pieces. But yeah, there's lots of other movies out there. But I mean, in terms of also, we don't want so many effects. I think in movies, we get annoyed when there's too many special effects because, like in some of the recent Avenger movies and all the Marvel films, they're using so much effects that it doesn't even look decent. It looks terrible. In fact, one of the ones I watched, it was on Netflix.
The Acolyte. You know how much money they spent on The Acolyte?
Yeah, and it was terrible.
$180 million.
Yeah.
On 8 episodes.
Yeah.
8.
Yeah.
But it was last year, wasn't it? I can't remember. It was at the beginning of this year or last year. You got the Oscar for special effects was given to Japan's
the Godzilla
-1, and it cost $15 million for the entire film.
Yeah. Woody Boys is with us. Woody Boy.
What the hell?
Good to see you.
No, a lot of people that keep coming out with stuff like money laundering, and it's okay, I don't know, but $180 million and $1 billion for that stupid Welsh blonde bint pretending to be Galadriel.
What are we
that was
talking
the
about?
Amazon thing. Was it Amazon Lord of the Rings?
I'm lost here completely.
Yeah, okay. Don't worry about it. Let's move. Hiya, buddy boy.
Now there are two very
class here. Shut up, Sparks.
There are two.
Right, do you want me to do some more of these clips here and get back to Formula One or not?
Yeah, you've got about half an hour before I need to go and sort the dog out.
Well, God, this has gone on too long already. What the hell? How long have we been going?
Can we cover a bit of GT7 before we close?
Yeah.
Because there's two big bits of news that were coming up, I think, this year in this.
Let's talk about the update that is
the big update.
We're talking about Gran Turismo now, are we?
Yeah.
Interestingly,
you two big and me in a small thing in the corner so I can just make nasty faces. Can you not do that?
Interestingly, this update is going to include a physics update.
Yes.
Which is the only thing that I'm remotely excited about because nobody really wants that circuit because it's, we've all had it before and it's just a copy.
You know the last update, Neil.
I'm not finished, Drew.
I know, but I want to ask you a specific question.
Okay.
I thought that the steering got a hell of a lot better in the last update. Am I tripping, or do you also think so? Because
no, I think it got more. I think more realistic.
Right.
Which I think, from my point of view, I think is better.
Yes.
Some people didn't
we had
like
this
it.
conversation before.
Personally, I think it was a good update. But I'm interested to know, because they're adding new tyres as well.
Yeah,
so there's new physics and new tyres. So whether that's going to put a more positive spin on the game as a whole, because as I've said this a few times, they call it the real driving simulator. No, it's really not.
We've talked about this, haven't we?
Yeah, it's really not. And this has been compounded by the fact that I spent a week last week playing I played ACC for a week last week, which is now my new favourite game in the world.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
It's so much better.
Really?
Yeah.
I never got that.
Oh, yeah. It's so much better. But
being sarcastic, you twat.
The rest of it is just garbage. There's just cars that are kind of variations of cars we've already got. We've already got a Subaru rally car. You've already got a rough Porsche. You've already got a Ferrari.
I like the sound of the Carrera GT in it, though. It's really nice.
Yeah,
get away from the microphone. It sounds like you touch people. Stop it.
Hello, welcome. Tonight we're listening to Neil talking about how he hates John Grismo. Now you can go to sleep and listen to the Scottish brogue of Hugh Hatrick. Carry on.
Very good. But I just think it's another, and I know people are saying, "Oh, you can't moan about it because it's free." So's COVID, but nobody liked that, did they?
I loved it. No, I thought it was great.
But it's just sort your game out. What we need is more than 16 players on a grid. That's pathetic, because by the time you get round the first corner, half of them have had an accident, killed themselves, and you're left with 9.
Yeah.
That's not my experience. It's like anyone anywhere near you tries to kill you, and then
the penalty system's garbage. I watched a video earlier on. Somebody was driving a car around Le Mans in the wet. They made a bit of an error, got a track limit penalty of 6 seconds, and they lost time because they slid off and went over this track limit. They regained the circuit, and then they were given another 6-second penalty for making an error. It's stupid. Wall penalties need to get in the bin completely. I think it was a World Series race. It might have been Nations. Can't remember. It might have been Manufacturers' Cup. One of the two. But it was at Bathurst or Mount Panorama, whatever. You know, it's quite narrow at the top of the hill, in between the walls. If you have an accident, what happens is, and I'll demonstrate, or sort of, I'll explain. So you hit the barrier, 1.5 second penalty. You're facing the wrong direction, so you do a turn in the road. So when you're going backwards, you hit the barrier behind you. Another 1.5 second penalty. So now you're up to 3 seconds. Then you drive forward. Somebody comes flying into the side of you because they haven't seen you in time, and you hit the barrier again. You get another 1.5 second penalty. So you've got a 4.5 second penalty for having an accident. So this game wants you to be dead perfect all the time. And if you're not, no, penalty, get in the bin. It's just ridiculous. It's good on some circuits, because obviously wall riding was a problem at one point. But for the other circuits where wall riding isn't a problem, just get them off, turn them off, get rid of them. Nobody wants them. But it's just another one of those things where they just don't seem to listen to the community, and they butter us up by giving us updates that we don't have to pay for. Brilliant. I'd rather pay 10 quid and have something that works.
No.
Pay nothing and have 3 cars, 4 cars that I'll probably never use. But hopefully the physics and the new tyres will be worth it. I'm hoping.
Yeah. What's going to happen is the physics going to really piss me off.
There's a new track as well.
Piss me off.
There is a new track. There is a new track. I think it's from GT4 or 5, one of the two.
Yeah. Although now it's quite interesting because there's some really tight corners right over the edge of the cliff. Over the edge of there's a kind of hill, and it just goes straight off, and there's a kind of left-hand bend. And I thought, normally Gran Turismo, if you kind of go off, it kind of stops you after a few yards. Yeah. And you get reset. But perhaps this time you might actually fly over.
I think they'll do a trial mountain special. I call it the trial mountain special because there are 2 points on the circuit at trial mountain where there are invisible walls.
Yeah.
So it could be something like that. You'll just stop dead.
Yeah.
But you know, it's the real driving simulator, so we have to make it as realistic as possible. So we just stop cars dead.
But do you think though that they've had to do all this now because they're feeling the pressure of like ACC potentially?
Well, I don't know because this update would have been in production or in development way before.
Aren't there other games coming in? That, you know, like
there are.
Because of that sort of like claiming
what's
to go.
Happened
I
is,
couldn't give you a name, but I just.
What's happened is the sim grid's come in, and it's people are flocking over to it from ACC, and it tends to be the people that are more interested in racing. People that want that kind of level of realism, they've gone over to ACC, myself included.
I tried it on Sunday.
And it's good and it works. It's a little bit complicated to get it set up and registered and whatever. It's not as pick up and play as Gran Turismo is.
I missed my first race.
But when you do get it set up and when it is working, it's brilliant. But I think Gran Turismo are probably they'd have done all of their update work and they'd have put this update into development before the SimGrid started doing console races. So I don't think they've done it because of that, but I do think they're going to have to do something, or they'll be working on Gran Turismo 8 to try and get everything ready for that. Because they will get to a point in any game, I don't know, Call of Duty, for example, they'll stop caring about the previous title when they'll put all of their funds and development and effort into the new title. It's just how it works. Also, there is a new ACC or a new Assetto Corsa out this year. Evolution. So, but that's not been.
Sorry, there's a new one coming out. Is that? Do you mean like for PC or for the 8?
It's been announced for PC.
The PC version and the Sorry, carry on.
I reckon PC first, and then probably
I think it'll be PC
for the PlayStation. Like an update for the PlayStation.
No, it's a whole new game. So I think it will be out on PC first, and then I think they'll bring it over to console.
Oh right,
I would have thought that
you'd have to buy it again. Get it on the. You'd have to buy it.
You'll have to buy if you want it on. So you'll have to buy if you want it on PC and console. Like I've got a copy for.
Sure, I didn't know there was like a big update for the ACC. For the PlayStation or what? Because I've got ACC on my PlayStation. I can't have it on my PC. 2 reasons: one, I have no idea how much it costs, but 2, my PC's
It's a whole new title, but they've got things like ray tracing and things that's now present in Assetto Corsa Evo.
Wow. Okay.
So graphically, I think they're trying to get on par with games like Gran Turismo. And I said at the beginning of the week, strangely, to a couple of people, if they got the graphics from Gran Turismo into the mechanics and the physics and the playability of Assetto Corsa, it would be an absolute monster of a game. So it's kind of looking like Evo's going to go that way. I think.
Funny,
I could be completely wrong.
Hugh and I have been saying for a long time that the only weak spot of ACC has been the graphics. Though I've never found it that bad.
To be fair, I'm an 6-year-old game.
So I'm used to Elite on a BBC marker computer.
So,
but you know, it's been great. But it's funny because it's like, I mean, correct me. This is something we've talked about a few times, Hugh. I think. My old brain's working. The sound I always thought to be superb. I used to comment on the fact that the way you get the gearbox whine from straight cut gearboxes and the way, you know, even the sound of the gear change, that cling 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 sound, so realistic. You know, I've heard in-car footage of racing cars sounding just like that. Really, really good. And then, of course, the physics of it is just superb.
Yeah.
And then it was a little bit grainy, maybe, but it wasn't. It wasn't.
I always find with that game with
bad.
ACC, you learn how to drive. You actually learn how to drive a racing car. You
Do you want to recall that day, Mr. Hatrick, that you, me, and John, you were driving, and me and John were
commentating.
Well, yeah, it was kind of commentating in a sense. But you were being coached by I can't remember who were you being coached by.
A chap called Terminator, who's a very good, very fast driver, and we were in the Porsche 911 at Silverstone, and he was trying to help me to go faster. And
honestly, it made me feel so much better because he'd already been trouncing me and so fast on Gran Turismo Sport, and then he's in ACC and
I can't keep it on the straight line.
Woo! Every corner crash, and it's like, I feel really a lot better now, a lot better, because it's like, oh god, he's also crap. Unfortunately, he got better. They used to go on Altea Book. He couldn't say her name, bless her. Te Amazon. He couldn't say that either.
Yeah, I had a bit of frog.
He can barely speak English. Look at him. It's on the butters. You know what I'm saying? And so I used to have to. Well, it became a bit of a trope that I would correct everything he said, even if he said it right. I just got to do it.
Yeah, you're like my
common gold, mate. It's common gold. Anyway, and then you see the problem is he did it, and he did this stupid thing where he persevered.
That was it. I wanted to
and
get
then
faster.
It got better, and then he went back onto GT7 and he was so much faster, so annoying. So I regret even encouraging him. It's just...
But no, ACC, you learn how to race. And that's what I loved about the SimGrid racing that I did on Sunday, was I was in the Ferrari 296 at Monza in the dry and in good weather.
Third?
There was only 9, there was 9 in the race. I started 6th and I finished 3rd. But in the Ferrari, it was almost like you could learn how to get a bit quicker. Every time you did a lap, you could think, right, I can do a little bit more curb here. The car would settle over the curbs. But at first, it felt like it wasn't going to do it. Then you kind of got used to it. You maybe had as your tire pressures get better, and you're kind of as your car, it changes the dynamics of the car.
Managing those tire pressures. Remember, because the problems you had is trying to get the right initial tire pressures. And you were trying to find people that could help you out getting those tire pressures so that when you were driving along, I remember that. That was it. That was
Woody Boy has made an interesting comment actually about Ben Collins. He actually there used to be, they haven't made one for a while, but there was a series of racing games called Project Cars, if you remember.
Yes,
Ben Collins was one of the leading developers on Project Cars.
So I've actually done Project Cars a little bit.
Yeah. Ben Collins developed Project Cars, or part
Did
of
he?
Project Cars. Yeah.
Oh no, really?
And he is getting very much into his sim racing.
Yeah,
he's got himself a gaming channel set up. And he's doing work with the same people that I do work with. They've got a thing going with Ben Collins as well. So he's spending quite a lot of time on rigs and things. So I wouldn't be at all surprised if he's not asked to do something like that, actually.
No, he's very good. He is very good.
He is good.
And I hope to try and get him on the show. He recently did a video with Super GT where he went into, they tried the different, they were teaching each other how to do sim racing. That, he's very good. And his channel's not that big at the moment, which makes me think he might be open to coming on.
Not that big. Are you sure? I mean, it keeps popping up. It's got...
But it's kind of growing. I mean, don't get it's not small.
Sim racing one. I didn't even know he had a sim racing one. I've been following his new mad bloody.
He's got Ben Collins Drives.
Yeah,
and he's got Ben Collins Gaming now as well. That's and he's just done a video where he tries the most expensive sim rig. This thing's worth millions.
Oh, is this one of these ones that moves and?
Well, here's the thing.
So annoying.
I've recently, strangely enough, I had a little play on the motion rig,
Mm.
And it feels amazing. But they're done with pneumatic. They're pneumatic arms.
Yeah, I've seen him.
Yeah.
I got sent a link by the channel friend Ant, Pagan Ant. You can see him on the
But
chat. He sent me one about I think it was 40k, and it was suspended up these big rams to do all this kind of stuff. Because I've complained. Well, I complained 2 weeks ago. I have no idea what I complained about last week for some reason.
You were drunk. You probably won't remember.
Shut the fuck up. And I will find you, and I will put hair on your head with a biro. Where did that come from? That was really good, actually. I've got to remember that one.
Somebody was impressed.
Stick a biro in your head.
You had lost
it.
Lost.
No, it was 40k. So one of the things I've complained about 2 weeks ago was one of the many times I've complained about it. I got it. The thing is that Hugh and I talk on the phone all the time, and part of the problem is I whinge at Hugh about lots of things all the time. I whinge on my own channel about lots of things when I used to give a crap, and one of the things that my big problems is. No, it's definitely 2 weeks ago because you were there. Because you just said it's not a real race simulator. It's not a real driving simulator. Because I then responded by saying that the thing about real driving is there's this weird thing called physics and real life where you feel what's happening. And all we have is a steering wheel. We don't even have the brakes. I mean, you can correct me. Somebody in the thing can correct me. Hi, Arkies. Hello, Arkies. See, we love Arkies. We hate sorry, no, we don't love Arkies. We hate Arkies. How the hell you can be that nice, that fast, and you're using a pad? Just
it is a skill.
Don't go, stay, but just know that we mildly might be slightly jealous. Shut up. So, okay.
Get to the point. Sorry.
Well, go to the point. Get to the point, Mr. Waffly. Just because you got a cute nose and you've got that slight.
Just designer stubble. Yeah.
Because your boy George, not boy George, what's his name? George Michael with less hair.
Is that a compliment?
Probably. I just remember him inventing designer stubble. He had it all the time. The 80s was my musical era. I didn't like them, but my ex-wife had every one of their records and a pillowcase and a lampshade. Let's not talk about her. Have you seen, in Harry Potter, you got the Dementors.
What's this got to do with the sim rig?
It hasn't. I'm deciding to go off on a tangent. I do that. Welcome to the show. I've been doing this for 5 years. Shut the fuck up. So, you get a Dementor. They come into a room and it sucks all the joy out of everything. Make a 5-foot Welsh version of that. Ex-wife. Now, 28 years. So, 3 kids. Not the lampshade. What the hell are you talking about?
You mentioned the lampshade in your last talk there, Roo.
Did I?
Yeah. It was.
He doesn't even know what he said, look.
Of course not. It just comes out.
Talk about the rig. The £40,000 motion rig.
Yeah, the point is, so I was going to ask, is there force feedback braking now?
Yes.
Not haptic, but so that exists. That's not me just making that up.
Some of the more expensive pedals, yes.
So if you got 50 grand to spend on a rig, you probably would get that.
Yeah.
Okay, so braking, which I consider to be one of the major weaknesses, which if he turns up again this week, 5 minutes after I mention his name, not I can remember his name again, but I used to get told off all the time for not using ABS because I needed to learn I watched a video about learning how to drive on a rig, and it said turn off ABS and learn the braking positions. And then I was doing that, and I was crap. And then I got told off for not using the ABS because what's wrong with you? So I've used ABS ever since. But I've been watching Digit Racing, and he agrees with me, actually, my original me, because he wants you to practice not by feel, but by pedal position. He wants you to be able to go 25%, 50%, 70%, full throttle, 25%, 50%, for the brake and the throttle, so that you can start learning how to do things like trail braking and stuff like that. Of course, in a real car, you don't do braking like that. You do braking by feeling the effect it has on the car.
Yeah.
Every magazine, every person I ever listened to or read about, they talk about how you drive through the seat of your pants.
Yeah.
You feel.
Well, this is
to be fair,
this is where the newer, this is where some of the more expensive motion rigs, and especially the one that Ben Collins drives, that this is where they kind of come in, because this one that he used, rather than using pneumatic parts, they use struts that are attached to motors.
Yeah.
And so there's always going to be, and he said it's a lot to do with latency. So when the car moves, there's going to be a gap between it happening on the screen and it then transferring that information to the part that needs to move. So he said I think it's about 30 or 40 milliseconds, he said. Yeah. But these new struts that they've built on this snazzy rig use these sort of electric motor type things, and it's only 5 or 6 milliseconds difference. So you feel it straight away.
So it's more real time and less.
Yeah. So it's difficult to explain, but it's like Woody says, it's millions. It's like a proper McLaren tub with a McLaren wheel.
Yeah.
The pedals can be adjusted so that, and you get feedback from the brake pedals and things, and it's just it's apparently it feels like you're driving a real car.
Yeah.
But Rue's right. You don't really feel like you're driving a real car in the game. Well, at all, to be honest. But I mean, that's one of the things that I like more about ACC than Gran Turismo. The feeling through the wheel alone is better. You feel everything, whereas Gran Turismo feels just a bit. It feels good until you play ACC,
and then you play ACC,
and then you go back to Gran Turismo again. And this happened to me today because I've had a week last week on ACC, gone back to Gran Turismo this morning, and it felt awful.
Yeah,
it's like when I'm in
completely different
GT7, and you got these limited. And the thing is, this is not actually a criticism. You got the limited. You can change some of the settings like for feedback and sensitivity and all that kind of stuff. But there's like 1 or 2 different settings you can change, and so and it's nice that some cars shake the steering wheel and some cars don't. So at least there's a difference. And then I'm on ACC, and I bought ACC. I'm not really got very much money at all. Seriously, not very much money. So I can't be just investing in these things like it's water. So, but I got ACC because everyone was playing ACC, and I knew there was not a chance I could get it on a PC because I'd have to buy quite an expensive PC to be able to do it. I've been looking. It's the reason why I started looking for a sort of a cheap something that would be good enough just to be able to play ACC from the PC. But anyway, that's a slight aside. Even on the PlayStation, and it's not like and Hugh can chip in here a little bit to sort of back me up a bit. It's not like I'm sitting here not liking setup.
Yeah, no, you do like setup. You have to.
I really like setup because setup is my one chance of equalisation. Because all right, I might be in the top 15% of the people that play GT7, but that's really not good enough with the community that we're in. I need to be in the top 5% to even keep up with them on any given track ever. And I'm not even close. I'm always the guy at the back. I'm always the guy everyone's going, "Oh, you're doing really well, Andrew." And it's like, yeah, it's so nice. Now shut up. I'm busy.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm going to have to be really rude because I've got to disappear, unfortunately. I've got to
again.
Well,
sorry, not the disappear, the rude bit. Shut up, Southerner.
So
I got to build a wall anytime now. Clarkson wants me near, innit?
Well, we could probably bring it all to a close because we've been going for over 2 hours and I've got a 6 o'clock start tomorrow.
Okay, before we go though, I mean, not saying that not that quick. Mr. Neely can't go. I just would. Can I? I want a quick. I want to share the photos, and there's a reason I want to share the photos. Okay.
Okay.
So I don't know what's the best one. So I'm going to share these because I want to ask a present. I've just seen the word present. I want to share screen, and it's going to be entire screen. Let's just do it this way. This is the mistake I made last time where I didn't share the screen. So let's just share this. Okay. This is Lando Norris overtaking Max Verstappen. Anyone see anything different? I'm sorry, I'm being a school teacher here. So sorry. Can you see the sparks on the back of the McLaren?
Yeah. The car's running lower.
Car's running lower. Now, we know as a fact, because it's a well-known thing, that the Red Bull has this thing where it has whatever they've done under that car, because everyone keeps talking about the top of the car, but anyone that's in the know knows that the real magic goes on underneath when no one sees anything. You know, it's the shapes and the tiny little changes in the Venturi and the ground effect stuff that makes the real differences. So that's why the the Red Bull has been so dominant. Okay, this is the Adrian Newey magic. And it's not his first rodeo with ground effects because he's been around for a couple of weeks. I got the same. This is a little bit later, even more. I know it's not. There you go. Oh, there you go. There you go. I can do that. So, obviously, I'll stop sharing now. What the hell? Come on. Let me get back to it. So, I just want to. So, what do you think? Is the fact that the McLaren's now catching up with them? They've got a lot more mechanical grip.
Yeah.
I don't even know if anyone's going to have an opinion or an answer or know what the hell I'm talking about because this is the kind of nerdy crap I come out with all the time. Ask him; he knows. And I just wonder: is that part of? They had a dominance at the start because they could do that, and that stopped all the porpoising and the bouncing and all this kind of stuff. And now other people have slowly been able to catch up with them. Not catch up with them, but develop their car with a concept that's got. Yeah. Sorry, I put this on not reverse so that you could see the home office. Yeah. Oh, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, that's the Red Bull, and that's everyone else.
Yeah.
You know, so that.
Yeah, it is a different angle, isn't it?
Now it isn't anymore, and they've got what is it? The Ferrari. The Ferrari had to, this weekend. The Ferrari had to take off the previous update.
That's right, because it wasn't working.
Because it was bouncing, porpoising, and so that's why they were so far back. And you know, I also found it very interesting that Sainz completely out-qualified and out-raced Leclerc.
Yeah.
And the theory I heard about it was that Leclerc, and I've got my own thoughts about this, but science is able to sort of get the best out of a car without getting too... Jack Stewart used to talk about taking emotion out of racing. You know, that was his thing. He had a big thing about this. He learned how to take emotion out of competition when he was doing clay pigeon shooting. He was Olympic level clay pigeon shooter way before he got into a car. Yeah. Way before. His older brother, 10 years older, he was a racer. And then he sort of ended up doing it. But he'd already learned how to be a top competitive person. Leclerc is very emotional, and we've seen him overdrive.
Yeah.
He's always overdriving.
Yeah.
And this is not a criticism, because honestly, when I'm on GT7, which doesn't matter, if I get like you end up being like this, don't you? You get your what's the phrase? You know, the bit between your teeth. I'm going after this person. You know. And the clerk, he desperately wants to succeed. He desperately wants to do a good job. I think it's the kind of guy. It's not so much he wants to succeed for the team. He just wants sorry for himself, but he wants to do a good job. He wants to do well. He's a lovely lad, really lovely lad from a relatively working class background. And I think that gets in the way of his natural talent. He doesn't believe his natural talent. He doesn't flow with his own ability. I think
I would quite like to be a Monegasque working class person, mate.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
I was going to say, for the 40...
Yeah, but there's different types of Monegasque, mate. I'm serious. There's different types of Monegasque. There's Monegasque like Nico Rosberg, brought up by his dad, who moved there for tax purposes. And there's people who works in the restaurants, who cleans the road, who does all these things. These people aren't millionaires, but they still have to live in Monaco. And
I learned something interesting about Monaco. I visited Monaco. I've been.
Okay.
I've been twice.
I've been once. Yeah.
Property prices are quite funny, because if you could have two flats or two blocks or two buildings, one behind the other. Both are in Monaco. The one in front that has a view of the harbour is 20 million an apartment. The one behind it that is literally 10 feet behind the other one, so there's like a pathway between them, a 10% of the price. It's ridiculous. You're paying for status in Monaco. That's literally it. If you've got a view over the harbour and you can see everything, then we'll charge you this much. If you live behind this building, in the smaller one where the poor people live, we'll charge you this much. Yeah, and it's such a big gap between the two. It's ridiculous. It's literally full of people that like spending money. I sat and I watched a woman get off the back of a yacht into a Bentley, chauffeured up the road up to what is it's Rascasse, but it's obviously there's a roundabout there, and they can come back down the other side, brings you onto the start-finish straight. And there's shops the other side of the road. So she's got into this Bentley, and she's gone up to the roundabout, down the other end. So she's opposite of where she got in the Bentley. She gets out of the car, goes into a shop, buys something, goes back into the Bentley, gets taken up the road and back down again, gets out, and again goes back onto her boat. It would have been quicker for her to just cross the road by a long way. She could have just waited for the traffic, crossed the road, gone into the shop, walked back again. But no. We go with the Bentley. We asked Jeeves to drive us.
All image. Completely.
All image.
I don't know what that surprises me, because it's all image anyway in Monaco with those people, isn't it?
Yeah. But it's all image. Image is what people pay for.
That's even more extreme than getting Botox. What the hell? Yeah.
I tried to actually get into. I wanted to get into the casino, and I absolutely no chance. Not a hope. I was wearing shorts and a t-shirt, and just no, not a hope. Even the policemen walk round looking like they've just come out of the designer shop.
Yeah.
And to put it into perspective,
you see them Instagram people.
I had a
Instagram people.
Literally, it is. It's literally Instagram everywhere. I dropped an ice cream wrapper on the floor by accident because it missed the bin. And as soon as I did it, 2 gendarmes with guns started walking towards me. I have never pooed myself so quickly in my whole life. I just thought, whoa, picking that up, pop that in the bin. Toilets aren't free. You can't go into a restaurant and use the toilets. You have to pay.
Yeah, that's
literally what it's like. Whereas over here, can I just use your toilet quickly, mate? Yeah, crack on. Not over there. Yeah. Do you mind if I use your toilet? Yes, that's €50, please.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It stinks of money.
I'm going to mute you for a second.
Now we've got Andy from Gopher Community in here as well, which is good. He's been doing lots of streams on the new ACC SimGrid and done some great videos as well on how to get started.
Oh God, the shouty, screamy people are back. We had a lot of police around here earlier. I ended up shouting out the window at someone that was.
Hugh, I'm going to have to disappear, mate, because this.
We'll have to bring it to.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I kept you. I didn't expect you to actually stay.
No.
Have you got a quick comment to make about what I said about the McLaren and the Red Bull and how the different?
I think they've obviously been working on the car. I think they've obviously got the car to a point where it's balanced and it's working. And I think what also helped them over the weekend was they probably run a better setup than Red Bull did.
Yeah.
And I think it just played into their hands completely. I think they completely ruined their race with an awful pit stop strategy.
Strategy.
If they'd have got that strategy right, no.
About the strategy.
Yeah.
If they'd got,
they could have had a 1-2. They seriously could have had a 1-2, couldn't they?
Yeah.
If they'd got their strategy right.
Yeah.
The strategy ruined it for them, I think. But I think it's looking promising. I think the rest of the season is looking
getting
quite
there, and they're only halfway through, which is
great.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you think? Cut across to stop you. I'm to stay too long, but also get the question in. Do you think Lando, if McLaren get their act together, stop screwing up? Do you think he can be the world champion this year? I'd love to see it.
I'd like to see it. If he gets he'll come close. I don't think he'll do it. I think he'll get close.
If he gets a few wins, that will be something. Maybe the momentum will get
it could flip on its head. Red Bull have had a couple of races where they've really looked like they
didn't
struggling.
Look that good.
I don't think it's that Red Bull are struggling, but I think other teams have brought themselves into contention.
Yeah.
Who do you think is the basic better driver? Lando, Piastri. So I want an order of 3. Lando, Piastri, Verstappen.
I think
that's hard. I think Lando is improving a lot.
I can ask the hard questions.
I think Lando is improving a lot. I think Verstappen has got to a very high level.
I think Verstappen's probably the better driver.
Yeah,
I think he's the more aggressive driver, but I think he's probably the better driver.
Yes, definitely.
I think Lando's better than Piastri. So I would go Verstappen, Norris.
You reckon?
Piastri.
Okay. I mean, I don't know because he's brand new and I've heard a lot of things about him, but
the fact that he's only in his second season, I think he's doing pretty well.
Yeah. And DTR is saying they lost Adrian Newey. So I do think they've lost a bit of momentum because
I'd be worried if I was Horner. I would be worried at the moment.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. Well, on that bombshell,
okay, that's it.
We need to close the show. But thank you to everybody who's been watching tonight and commenting, and for our new viewers tonight as well. It's been great to have you with us on the Hugh Hatrick Show as we've been talking about the British Grand Prix and GT7 and all things sim racing. And of course, to my 2 fantastic guests, we've got Neil Chandler from Not That Quick. And also the Traveller. It is Rue who has been.
I have no idea where I got that from. Probably a film.
But to everyone watching, to all who have commented and more and just sat there in the background watching along, it's been great to have you with us. Have a fantastic week. Make sure you join us next week and hit that subscribe button if you want more of the same. So take care, everyone. Drive fast. Drive your
Crash your bus faster.
Even faster.
Really
Bye just now.